How the Eminence and Shadow continues to develop star side characters is beyond impressive. In this episode of The Eminence and Shadow, Season 2, Episode 9, Kagi stays true to all the best qualities that sets it apart from all the other isekais. Obviously, there are going to be spoilers. If you guys are not caught up on The Eminence and Shadow, shame on you. This episode showed all of its formula for what makes the Eminence and Shadow such a good anime. Season 1 brought us characters like Akane Nishino, Alexia Midgar, Iris Midgar, Natsume, Rose, and I guess Jerry too. Season 2 has brought us closer to characters like Claire Kagano, Aurora, and Alpha. All of these characters play a massive role to the Eminence and Shadow story and to the appeal of the show. Without them, there would be no true characters that we can really connect to. In Season 2, Rose is the one character from Season 1 that went through the biggest transformation along with an unresolved plot mystery. Why did she kill her dad? When there's clearly an opportunity in the story to try to save him. Besides the obvious want to get stronger to save people or her kingdom, how has her decision to join Shadow Garden, has that really gotten her anywhere? This episode takes a major step forward, with Rose being a focal point of the episode as the opener makes it a point that Rose is really struggling with the fact that she killed her dad. We were all asshats. And we were like, did she really kill her own dad? Like every plot that involves the Coat of Diablos, they are just a means to develop whatever characters they want to feature. All the bad guys themselves are not particularly interesting. That is why these arcs have to be carried by characters that are facing real dilemma, thus creating thoughtful and engaging character development. The capture of Claire Kagano by Viscount Grease, that helped develop her character and develop Sid and Shadow into who he will be in the show, as he had that showdown with Viscount Grease. Shadow versus Zenon Griffey resolved Alexia's issues she had with her sister sibling complex. Shadow versus Sir Gaunt Knight developed the tragedy of Sherry's backstory along with setting up a potential revenge arc. Brother Baldman Jack Nelson expanded upon the main plot's lore while spotlighting mostly Aurora, and also giving some screen time to Delta and the trio of Natsume, Rose, and Alexia. Sir Perv Asshat is the first cult antagonist that made it beyond one arc, which in turn expands upon Rose's development as the ass man himself is trying to marry himself into royalty. He would be the royal ass. For the Coat of Diablos aim to do so. Like I say time and time again, Shadow needs to be involved less and less because the story needs to expand. This gives characters time to overcome whatever issues that they end up facing. Like many of the cult antagonists before, Quadoi, Koadoi, and the named children he is with end up just essentially throwing away characters to help develop Rose, with the introduction of 559's utmost devotion to achieve Shadow Garden's mission to get the ring and for some reason kill Rose's mom. This new side character helps Rose face every single problem she is facing up to this point. She wants to get stronger, but she's still weak. And she's still not detached from her kingdom. As we can tell through the whole history of her being a part of Shadow Garden, she has always thought for herself and for her own individual needs. When the plot twist comes that Rose's mother is alive and 559 wants to kill her for a mysterious reason, this makes this plot extremely interesting. The same way Alpha had to face Shadow in the previous arc, all the best arcs in the show end up being ones where they have to fight amongst themselves. Now that Rose has that connection to want to save her mom, she has to return back to Oriana Kingdom to marry the ass. This arc isn't interesting because the cult is strong or have anything deep to offer. It's about Rose and how caught up she is in the plot. A dilemma that is very character centric. When it comes to Shadow, in this episode, it had everything that makes Sid interesting and fun. We've seen his formula before as a character. The episode even flashes his ski mask that was reminiscent of when he was Minoru Kagano. This brings us to the Akane Nishino formula with Mary, a waifu-like character that has something kind of dark about her that she has to overcome. Both end up being saved by Sid. Both come to some kind of resolution about themselves. Both episodes provides that satisfaction of the hero vigilante character obliterating those easily hateable NPC archetypes using the formula of episode 1 along with the usual NPC gag when it presents itself. This is just who Sid is as a character and what he can provide for the show. The issue with using the same themes and formula is the repetitiveness of Sid's character. That is why Sid himself needs his own character development, or there needs to be less of him, but there's always the punchline. That takes us to the biggest punchline of the episode. It's significantly more satisfying when the show can create the comedic irony out of the plot, with the climactic moment of the episode being the punchline. Like many arcs before, Shadow comes to a wrongful conclusion and it somehow aligns with where the plot leads us to. Instead of being angry with Rose for her betrayal and or her feeling for her situation, Shadow thinks Rose is just screwing up his entire Eminence and Shadow script of what he had planned for her. He really thought that Rose is gonna be this evil queen, so her being Mrs. Ass doesn't make any sense. The show incorporates 559's want of betrayal and 664 and 665's confusion of Shadow's anger, with Shadow's misinterpretation of Rose's situation. All of these elements come together and it just makes that whole scene that much more funnier because they are all wrong and Shadow's reaction is just the perfect punchline. It's all about delivery, guys. It makes it even more funnier when you end up thinking that Rose is just going to end up misinterpreting everything too. I think what makes this show interesting is that Shadow is more of an anti-hero than anything else. It's always going to be about the comedic irony in his imminent delusions, but that's what makes the show what it is. And that's why all the other characters matter so much. They provide real character development because Sid isn't that character. He has to be the reason why everything's funny. He has to actually do vigilante things that are kind of cool like he did in this episode, or he has to be the one that's actually providing some kind of wisdom to the characters. So that's just who Sid is going to be as a character. This episode, while it has all the elements that makes it great, there are some issues that could end up making it too repetitive. Like Akane Nishino, her character is kind of similar to Mary, but she's a lot more relatable than an ex-prostitute. So even though Sid had that NPC scene where he had that gag, that actually had time for us to end up hating those antagonists, which the episode was later on able to pay us off, with Sid just demolishing them. And plus, give us that great feeling at the end. Even though he's a vigilante, kind of an anti-hero character, he's not a pure hero or anything like that, which I think is really most of us. At the end of the day, he still has a heart and he still saved her at the end, saved her business, and she didn't have to sell her booty. So that gave us that good feeling vibe. The same kind of way episode 1 was like that is what made episode 1 so special. But at the end of the day, the bread and butter of the show is that comedic irony in the plot. And they gave us that at the very end. And I think that just made the episode. There was a few moments in this episode that just made you burst out laughing. And that was definitely the biggest one. It was well worth it at the end. So yeah, guys, let me know what you guys thought about this episode. I would love to know what you guys think. And do me a favor, guys, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already. Check out my blog at otakusen.com. And I appreciate you guys watching, and I'll see you guys on the next video.